Best metal albums of October, week number 2, albums that were released. Pretty much all of these were released on October 14th, last Friday. There are lots of albums coming out, and that's why I'm just doing it this way. First album I'm going to talk about is Lorna Shore with Pain Remains. I was originally going to do a full review of this, but you know what? I didn't like it. It just wasn't for me. I'm not saying it's a bad album. It's just not my thing. I felt it was kind of long. I didn't really enjoy it. You know, I tried to listen to it like 2 times, but after the second time, it just felt kind of like overwhelming. But I'll give you a quick rundown of this album. They're a deathcore band. This album is kind of more like a symphonic black metal. This is their 4th album, produced by Josh Schroeder, released on Century Media. There's a lot of hype surrounding this band, you know. You got the vocalists, they do these like pig squeals and all these like really incredible sounds with their voice, and these vocals are, you know, really amazing. But as far as music and melody and song structure, it just wasn't there for me. And I know this band has a lot of diehard fans, but I just didn't like it. It kind of like the songs kind of felt repetitive. They had those like breakdowns, and maybe if I listen to it, like 10 times, maybe it'll grow on me. But I just wasn't feeling it, and that's why instead of doing a full review where I'm just spending 7 minutes just saying that I don't like the album, I'm just going to do it this way. I'm putting it in my my metal like review album. So anyway, my final score, I'm not going to give it a final score. I think if you're a fan, if you're a diehard fan, you're going to like it, and it'll be like an 8 for you. But for me, it's just like no score. It's just not for me. So moving on. Next band is Riot City. This is a really good band. They're from Calgary, Alberta, in Canada. They play traditional heavy metal. Their album is called Electric Light, released on October 14, 2022. This is their 2nd album, and released on No Remorse Records. Just very good old school metal. Now, it's enjoyable. You know, the vocals they remind me of like the old like Grim Reaper albums. You know, those are really high soaring vocals, and the guitar riffs, like you're gonna think like Iron Maiden most of the times. Just those like Metallica riffs, those like 80s style. The band plays mostly like fast-paced music, so I would say it's more like speed metal. But a lot of times they're gonna sound like Queensryche or Judas Priest. There's even one song when they slow it down a little, they kind of sound like Kiss. Very good production. If you're a fan of 70s and 80s metal, you definitely like it. It's a kind of album that you listen to a few times. It does grow on you after a few times. So my final score for this is going to be an 8 out of 10. Next is the band Stormruler from St. Louis, Missouri. They're a black metal band, and the album is called Sacred Rites and Black Magick. Released on October 14th of 2022. This is their 2nd album, and the record label is Napalm Records. I know this is a kind of a band. I think it's just like 2 people doing all the work. It's, I don't like black metal in general, but it's just very melodic. You know, this is, like, I enjoy this. You know, every now and then I'll like listen to a black metal record and I'll think it's just very good, and this one I enjoyed a lot. The way the album is, it's basically they have like one like interlude and then one like main song. So the interludes are kind of like usually like slower like classical like instrumentals that last maybe a minute or under. Then the main song might be like 5 to 7 minutes. So it's a long album, it's like 75 minutes. But for example, the first song, the interlude is called Hymns of the Slumbering Race. It's just this beautiful classical guitar piece, this acoustic piece. And then the main song, Internal Fulmination of the Grand Deceivers. It's just old school, like black metal riffing, black metal vocals, just fast paced. Lots of energy, but lots of melody. So you got like heavy and light parts throughout. So it's not just like complete like mayhem. And just there's a lot of like thought put into these songs. And it's just very accessible black metal. I think if you're a newbie to the genre, I think it's a good starter point or something to check out if you're not a black metal person. And it's just a really good old school sound and just very good. So my score is 8.5 out of 10. Next is the band Ripped to Shreds from San Jose, California. They are a death metal band. The album is called Jubian, and I think these guys they say they're Americans, but I think they're originally from Taiwan. I might be wrong about that, but it's their third album, Relapse Records, and it's classic death metal, but they do it very well because the elements of like prog and doom but the songs are very well written, lots of twists and turns. So it's kind of like death metal, but kind of has more of like a modern feel. So we have a couple good songs, Violent Compulsion for Conquest. This one kind of starts with those like slow building riffs and these really like deep guttural vocals and blast beats and technical riffs, blazing solos, and then go through some tempo changes. Then there's another song like Race Trader. Like the early, like the intro riffs reminded me of kind of like some like Metallica, like old school Metallica, but then goes into these like really brutal riffs. Probably one of the best like old school death metal albums that has been released this year. Just very good production. I think if you like that old school death metal with a modern sound, you'll like this. It's an album that you can listen to and repeat. And my final score, 8.5 out of 10. Next band, Bloody Hammers. They're from Charlotte, North Carolina. They're, I guess, classic heavy metal. They released an album last year that was more of like horror punk. So I do remember this one from like last year. I did like a mini review of it. But this album is called Washed in the Blood. October 14th, 2022. Album number 7 in their discography, released on Napalm Records. This, if you like those, horror movies, movies that are like geared towards horror, this is a great album for you. So we got some great songs, Phantasmagoria. This kind of reminds me of like the band Ghost. The Howling, very melodic song, kind of has these like Sabbath style riffs. Don't Be Afraid of the Dark, that one gets a little more industrial, like Rob Zombie. The low spoken vocals, kind of a slower song, and it's a fun album, very good production. If you like Misfits, Danzig, Ghost, Rob Zombie, like that type of stuff, you'll definitely like this. And great album, and 8.5 out of 10. Next is Poppy, who is kind of a YouTuber turned singer from Boston, and she's like a pop singer, but she does these like experimental metal albums lately. She released an EP called Stagger, released on October 14, 2022, album number 5 in their discography. Well, it's actually her 5th EP, not an actual album. It just has a few producers and released on the Republic Lav record label. So 4 songs, let me go through them real quick. FYB, kind of punk rock, like an Avril Lavigne kind of thing. Pocket, industrial, like Radiohead style, goth rock. Shapes, again, industrial metal and pop, like synth pop, some of that like Muse, like that type of sound. And Stagger is kind of more of a slow, haunting, dark pop song, dream pop. So not really a metal album, but it just had elements of metal, so that's why I wanted to include it. It's short, and it's pretty good. So my score, 8 out of 10. And one more. The band is Nothing More from San Antonio, Texas. They're a hard rock band. The album's called Spirits, and this is a band, they're actually pretty big. They've had some Grammy nominations. I've never heard of them for some reason, but, this is their 6th album, released on October 14, 2022. Produced by the band Nothing More, and released on the record label called 11-7. You got like a lot of like melodic stuff. So, for example, the song Tired of Winning, that's a metalcore song. Ships in the Night, that's more like industrial music with sound bites. Don't Look Back, that's more like electronic, post-hardcore. And a song called The Other F Word, which is more like an industrial or metalcore song. This is very heavy. And if you're wondering what is the other F word, they say call out the fake, so I guess it's fake. I don't know. This one, it's okay. It's not really bad, but I think if you like that 2000s rock or metalcore or just like modern metal, you might like it. Maybe you know the band, maybe you're a fan. My final score for this is 7 out of 10. And that is all. I'll be back with some more videos later. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. See you in the next one.